Alright guys, post Anthony Davis trade, I think we can all agree the Lakers have looked quite different. And I mean, obviously, Luka is quite different compared to Anthony Davis, but you know, it's really weird when we're talking about their defense. They've actually gotten better post Anthony Davis, at least in regard to numbers and rating, and it's really not that hard to tell why if you've been watching them play. I mean, simply put, they were way too reliant on Anthony Davis for their defense, funneling guys toward the paint at him, hoping he would block the shot for them, be pretty much the entirety of their defense, and now after trading him, they simply don't have that option anymore, which has led to them becoming much more committed on defense and taking a very different approach on defense too. And yes, that does have to do with small ball, the thing that many Laker fans hate and did not want them to turn to, but I think might be slowly but surely coming around to. They've been looking great in both their smaller and bigger lineups, and even when I talk about small ball lineups with their team, it's really not that small. I mean, with combinations of guys like a 6'9" LeBron or Jared Vanderbilt, a 6'8" Rui Hachimura, that does weigh about 230-240 pounds by the way, or Dorian Finney-Smith with a 6'7" height and about 7-foot wingspan. They have plenty of height and length even without a center on the court. And with that being said here, we're going to talk about the different way they have played post Anthony Davis trade, both defensively and offensively, and why it's worked so well for their team so far, potentially even being a much better fit for their team as well. But before we get too far into it, let's quickly go over our game day picks with Underdog Fantasy. And if you're a new sign up, you can pick LeBron James to have higher than 0.5 points later tonight. So yeah, take advantage of that free pick. But then for my picks, for pick number 1, I got Luka Doncic having higher than 30.5 points in a revenge game later tonight. Yes, he will be taking on Dallas, and there definitely is bad blood between them, so he'll be taking plenty of shots and trying to show them they messed up. But then for pick number 2, I got Rui Hachimura having higher than 0.5 assists, has had at least 1 in 4 of their past 5 games now, so I think he will get at least 1 tonight. Then for my third pick, I got Dorian Finney-Smith having higher than 3.5 rebounds. He's had higher than that in 5 straight games now, so I think he will again tonight. Then for my fourth pick, I also have Jackson Hayes having higher than 0.5 assists. Then for my fifth and final pick, I got Kessler Edwards having higher than 0.5 rebounds during the first quarter. So if you want to follow along with me, or make your own picks, then be sure to check out Underdog Fantasy, and don't forget to use code JSM to get your free pick, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make a deposit. But now getting back to our topic, and again, the Lakers played very different post Anthony Davis trade, and well, it's really not that hard to believe with Luka Doncic, especially offensively. I mean, you really can't even compare the two. They're pretty much polar opposites and really on both ends of the court. And speaking offensively, that's obviously involved a lot more 3-point shooting with Luka Doncic, simply more of a 3-point shooting approach and play style, what they operate more out of, more pick and roll play, more 3-point shooting, more perimeter play in general, and yes, that has made a big impact on their offense and fairly quickly at that. Prior to the Anthony Davis trade, they were attempting only about 33 3-point shots per game and hitting them at a 35.6% clip. So not bad, but not great. Bottom 4 in the league in 3-point shots attempted per game, in the bottom half in 3-point percentage, but immediately following that trade, that's jumped up in both areas. After the trade and in the 8 games they played so far post-trade, the Lakers have attempted 40.1 3-point shots per game, about a 7 3-point shot jump prior to the trade, have knocked them down at a 36.4% clip, about a 1% jump prior to the trade, and in both areas are now a top 10 3-point shooting team. In large part due to not only Luka Doncic, but simply their new offense and what they're trying to do on the court, rather than focusing on post play and running their offense out of the post through Anthony Davis and LeBron at times too, out of the high post and running plays around them, not really directing or focusing too heavily on the 3-point line, apart from spot-up shooters and driving kick game. Now they're actually doing that, and it's become much more effective for them and a much more dangerous way to operate their offense too. I mean really, what can a defense do against a high pick and roll game like this when Luka, for example, on this play, running a high pick and roll with Jackson Hayes, and the Nuggets actually pick it up pretty well, Jokic stepping up, not letting Luka get to the paint, and then Hayes being cut off in his dive toward the rim. But then Luka simply throws a 50-foot one-handed pass over the top of his head, all the way over to LeBron on the weak side in the corner, leading him perfectly toward the rim and for an easy dunk that LeBron simply wasn't even involved in the play. Takes so much pressure away from other guys in the court and so much pressure away from the paint and from the rim, pulls guys away from the paint, The gravity that Luka demands at the three-point line is pretty much unparalleled, not even by LeBron himself, and now put the two of them together, it's an absolutely dangerous combination and one that can probably be pretty much unguardable at times too, especially with Luka clicking like this. And well, like I said, that's a big time difference compared to their prior offense. And not to say it was a bad offense, it was actually a top 10 offense for a majority of the season, but simply put, it cannot compare to what they have now. Between Luka Doncic and again the gravity and attention that he demands on the court, opening up lanes for other guys in the court, opening up the three-point line in a dramatic fashion compared to Anthony Davis, and the combination of him and LeBron on the court together is simply uncomparable to what they had before. But with that being said, how about their defense? How's it different? How's it working for them? And how are they making up for the loss of Anthony Davis? A pretty big loss at that. And well, like I said before, you obviously can't replace a guy like that, but you can go in a different direction, and that's exactly what they have done. Whether it be a small ball approach, which has worked out very well for them, or the approach with Jackson Hayes or even Trey Jemison at times, it's worked out well for them, and they've taken a much different approach to it and how they've attacked defense and attacking offenses on the court. And well, believe it or not, the highest rated defensive lineup for them since Luka Doncic trade does happen to be a small ball lineup, including a combination of Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, Dorian Finney-Smith, LeBron James, and Rui Hachimura, playing 15 minutes together so far, and although that's not very much, they've had limited time together and, in that time frame, have posted a 80 defensive rating. That'll be by far the best in the NBA, and again, although yes, limited time together, a very good, albeit small sample. And much like the way they attacked and defended Jokic the other night, that can be done with a small ball lineup. Yes, even in regard to physicality, they did that. Rui Hachimura kind of giving the initial push against him, not letting him get to his spots in the court and deep within the post. Then on top of that, not only one-on-one defense, but then perfectly blitzing him, the timing being perfect for it, and in large part due to a small ball lineup or simply a more quick lineup on the court. I mean, even with Hayes out there, the guy can move and a lot better than your traditional big man. He can switch on the court, and that quickness they have on the court allows them more freedom to blitz and still be able to recover at the three-point line, not get beat backdoor, and simply be able to rotate a lot quicker than a bigger lineup would. And again, even with a smaller lineup on the court, quote unquote, they're still pretty damn big out there with their big wings. I mean, when Jokic turns around and finds not only Rui Hachimura on him, but then a 6'9" LeBron James and a 6'7" Luka Doncic, along with a 6'7" Dorian Finney-Smith not far away and trying to pass over the top of them, that can be pretty difficult, and with the speed in which they recover and rotate on defense, that makes it even more of a headache too. Or then when a guy like Jared Vanderbilt match up with him, that's a big weight difference there, and although you might think that would be the pure advantage to Nikola Jokic, Vanderbilt actually switched that around and put the advantage in his favor for at least a temporary time frame. I mean, at that point, Jokic had about a 50 to 80 pound weight difference over him, and Vanderbilt took advantage of that in the opposite way than you might think, actually letting Jokic push him, but when you're picking him up at half court or even full court, that's a long way for Jokic to have to push you, and the refs will take notice of that too, which they eventually did and called Jokic for a couple of fouls with Jared Vanderbilt defending him. An absolute pest and a very unconventional method to defending a guy like Jokic, but one that can work for a temporary time frame and one that they definitely did not see coming. So between that, along with the blitzing technique, the rotating quicker on defense, and throwing different coverages at him or simply their team or any team for that fact with their smaller lineup, or even a guy with Hayes out there as well who can switch and move around quicker compared to a traditional big, they're now much more versatile on defense and simply not reliant on Anthony Davis to make up for them, and they know that on the court too. I mentioned it before, but that's a big part of their new look defense in my opinion. Knowing they don't have Anthony Davis behind them and they have to lock up one-on-one or at least try to play better defense, I think that's affected their team in a positive way. It's not simply guys like Jared Vanderbilt, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Jordan Goodwin and Gabe Vincent trying to play defense, but even guys out there like Luka Doncic, LeBron James, Austin Reeves, guys like that knowing they have to play defense too. And up until this point, it's worked out very well for their team. Everything from the unconventional approach on defense, the weird little things they've been trying out, and the different lineups that you probably weren't expecting, that's worked for them, along with the more commitment on defense and buying into their new defensive identity, which definitely is a different look compared to Anthony Davis and their team, but it's worked out for their team and has been working very well nonetheless. Now that obviously could change over time, but from what we've seen for their team so far, the different way they played, and the commitment in which they played and attacked their new game plans, I think it's working out well for them and something they can buy into long term. But with that being said, what do you guys think? How do you feel about the new look Lakers and the kind of unconventional approach they've taken post Anthony Davis trade and with Luka Doncic? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But I think that'll pretty much do it for this one, and if you enjoyed the video, then I'll greatly appreciate it if you dropped a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day or night.